Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris, and this is your favorite daily real estate coaching and training podcast. And we have got a great podcast for all of you today. The topic is Real Estate Agent's Guide to Crushing the Competition. And yes, Julie and I believe that you are definitely in a very competitive market. You should know that by now. And even though the heart of real estate is definitely cooperation, the heart of winning in real estate is understanding that you have to be able to beat your competition. So what we're going to be doing today is we're giving you 5 different points on this particular topic. And remember, you're going to want the notes. So if you want the notes, please go to harrisrealestatedaily.com. Harrisrealestatedaily.com is where our notes live, and you can get not only today's notes, but today's video and a lot of other information that's only available to you if you are a subscriber to the newsletter. The newsletter is free. There's no reason not to do it. It takes 2 seconds. Just drop in your email address into the subscribe button, and then you have to go over to your main email, and you have to then confirm that you want the newsletter. That's it, harrisrealestatedaily.com. All right, Julie, let's jump in.
All right, so this is your guide to crushing the competition. So agents, are you finding that most of your deals, most of the time, for some of you all the time, are with people who already know, love, and trust you? Well, that's normal and that's great until you run out of those easy deals. And some of you run out after 60 days of deals. Others of you, it might take a year for that to happen. But for all of you, the same question: what happens when you meet somebody new, someone who might be talking with other agents and trying to decide who to represent them when buying or selling real estate? What if their spouse also has somebody in mind? How can you more easily win their trust and earn their business? Do you feel that you can compete and win in any situation, in front of any type of personality, in any type of price range or neighborhood? If not, you need to accept the fact that you will have competition and your job is to win.
But Julie, let's go back. Let's take a half step back and really drill down on what you said. Because yes, dear listener, 71% of your business after 5 years will come from centers of influence and past clients. Yes, that is true. But the problem is that your centers of influence and your past clients are going to be the same centers of influence and past clients that are also, in the Venn diagram of local real estate agents that are going to be theirs as well. So you will run to a point, even if you have, say, 300 or 500 or 5,000 or past client centers of influence, sort of your net is really good. You've done a great job building it. You've done a great job following up. That doesn't mean those people are going to do business with you. So the statistics, and it does vary. Julie and I have studied this over the years, but let's just assume it's 10% of the folks in your list are going to buy or sell real estate in that particular year. Now, I do want you to remember, it could be much more, it could be much less. So adjust accordingly based on the actual sales velocity in your market. But let's assume 10%. That 10% is not really going to all just automatically want to do business with you. Yes, we show you how to call them. Yes, we show you what to send them. Yes, we want you to be top of mind. But again, you're competing for those centers of influences and past clients. So let's say you have a list of 100, and let's say there's going to be 10 transactions available out of that 100 people. You're probably only legitimately going to have a shot at maybe 5. And of those 5, maybe 1 or 2 are going to be essentially come list me. So let's just go buy a house. They're going to be easy. You're not going to have to compete. The others are going to have to compete. You guys get the point? So don't fall prey into believing that centers of influence and past clients are going to ultimately win you the game in the long run, because you're still, what's going to happen is you're going to run out of those people. In essence, you're going to have plucked all the apples off your tree. So you always have to be expanding your centers of influence and past clients. You always have to be curating and cultivating your existing centers of influence and past clients. And if you stop doing the adding to the list part, if you stop doing proactive lead generation, you're going to suffer some very, very distinct drop-offs in your business and your cash flow. And the most typical new coaching client profile, I would say, would be someone that didn't hear that message from us years ago, who wished they would have, who essentially wanted to pin all their hopes on centers of influence and past client marketing. Let's call it what it is. And then they discovered that, guess what? My business is only going to generate so many transactions per year, no matter what I do or how hard I do it. And then they realized they should have been always adding to that list, pruning the list, cultivating and curating that list. That's what's required. So Julie?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And, we're talking about competing. So one thing is, if you know that 71% will come to you after you've been in business for a while, well, your job, to your point, that number is going to be bigger if you've been systematically adding to your past clients, your center of influence, because 71% of only like 20 people still isn't going to be enough for you.
Right.
So, adjust accordingly. But moving on to being very competitive. First thing to do is upgrade your presentations. to be successful nearly 100% of the time, which should be your goal. I know that there are people out there saying, well, it's going to go the way it's going to go, and you should just count on 50%. But let's just say that you're not a 50% player. You want 100%, 100% of the time. You've got to invest in listing presentation, pre-listing package, and now, and you didn't have to do this for a while, we always recommended and we've always coached this, but a buyer presentation. You've got to upgrade and update those so they are the most competitive, most effective, and predictably win you those appointments when you compete. So do you have these presentations? Are you using them every time? Even some of our top producers, we have to remind them not to have different rules for different people. Just because it is a past client doesn't mean that you shouldn't send them your pre-listing package. Just because you think you've got it in the bag doesn't mean that you absolutely do. You can't tell me 100% of the time that it's absolutely yours. Maybe they ran into somebody in an open house last weekend. Maybe their spouse has a best friend that they golf with who's a real estate agent. You don't know. Now, you should know using our pre-qualification script, but the point is the same. Don't have different rules for different people. Now, how do you know if you're doing this right? Are you getting signed listing documents every time or nearly every time? Are you getting a signature on the buyer agreement? And I know that that still stresses a lot of you out. It's because you're asking for the signature without having a buyer presentation. A logical close, the definition of a close is the logical ending to a great presentation. So do you have the presentations? Now, next question with regards to upgrading your presentations. Is yours the same as everyone in your office, or is it unique to you? Back to you, Tim.
No, I agree with everything you just said. And the presentations thing, and let's really drill down on one of the things that Julie just said. You've got to treat every customer, whether you're a mom, your dog, or your best friend from high school, you have to treat them all the same. You have to pre-qualify them the same. You have to send a pre-listing pack. You have to have the same listing appointment or buyer appointment. You have to be very consistent in the way you run your business, because the problem is if you're not, and you become complacent because you just think you have the business in the bag, you're going to start losing. And the losing, maybe one you can write off. Well, maybe they knew the other agent they listed with better than me. But then you're going to lose it again, another one. And then you're going to say, oh, the other agent maybe took a lesser commission than I would have accepted, da, 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 da. And then losing is going to become who you are. You're just going to normalize losing to the point where you start accepting a 50% success ratio when you go on appointments. And that's, in our world, is not acceptable, because you're going to fail out of real estate. So when you are in this business, you got to be in it to win it. Whether you're full-time or you're part-time, you've got to be following this, essentially the 7-step listing process that we give you in Premier Coaching. If you're not a Premier Coaching client yet, let me tell you, this is the simplest, most direct, easiest, fluff-free way for you to build a consistent real estate business. We're going to show you how to proactively lead generate, passively lead generate, how you're going to pre-qualify, how you're going to present. We give you buyer presentations, listing presentations, business plans. I mean, we definitely are guilty of giving you guys too much, and some of you will feel somewhat overwhelmed. That's the reason the Premier Coaching Program is designed to be delivered in a systematic month-by-month way, and you do get daily semi-private coaching calls, live coaching, semi-private coaching sessions with a Harris certified coach. So make sure that you are joining Premier Coaching. Just go to premiercoaching.com or click the link below. And yes, you can join Premier Coaching right now for the first 30 days for free. So go to premiercoaching.com or click the link below today in the show description, whether you're on YouTube, iTunes, or if you're listening to one of our shorts, just click the bio and you can join that way as well. Julie?
All right, so point number 2. Point number 1 is huge, and we have and do entire podcasts about those, your presentations. But point number 2, when becoming as competitive as you can, is to upgrade your lead generation itself. Are you predictably generating the amount of leads that it takes to meet or exceed your income goals? Are you converting leads to appointments and appointments to contracts? These are all things to ask yourself. Do you understand and follow the spokes in the wheel model of lead generation, and are you actively working on each spoke well enough to get results? Or would you consider yourself to be a dabbler? A dabbler is somebody who says, well, I tried a couple of for sale by owners and they didn't work out, so I just don't like FSBOs, they don't work. That's a dabbler. Versus somebody who embraces that and turns it into business.
Well, a dabbler, you guys know who you are. You're the ones that are going on the Facebook groups and doing searching and doing I'm going to write my own script. I'm going to make my own pre-listing pack. You're not, look, I appreciate your creative entrepreneurial angst, but the reality is you're not serious about this business. Because if you were serious about this business, essentially, like, it'd be like buying your mindset would be, show me the shortest path to the top that has the least resistance, that gives me the most assurance that I'm going to win.
That also doesn't cost me money or referral fees or spend.
Exactly. And you don't have the money and you don't have the time for a bunch of, essentially trying to figure things out. If you're not thinking like that, you're a dabbler. That's it. That's the benchmark. You want to get up to the top of the mountain as fast as you can, help as many people as you can, make as much money as you can. If your mindset is, I'm going to work on my brand or my logo or my websites, or I'm going to test a bunch of this and the other things, I'm going to decide for the next 6 months what my CRM is going to be, build an drip campaign, all these procrastination things that move you away from doing the real work in real estate, you are a dabbler. And most of the real estate industry is a dabbler. There's, the reality of it is there's who knows how many now, 3 or 4 million agents. And most of the agents don't sell anything every year, 71%, something like that, sell absolutely nothing. And most of them are dabblers. And the ones that are selling things, most of them are selling less than 5 homes per year, probably dabblers. So if you want to move past the dabbler aspect, plug yourself into a system that you know is going to work. Plug it.
And don't give up on it. Remember, focus means follow one course until successful.
That's right.
Okay. So that means more than a few dials. It means more than a few pop-ins. You've got to really be committed to the lead generation that will work for you. My favorite version of what you're talking about being a dabbler is there's some Facebook pages, and I only go there just to see what agents are talking about. And I usually have to bail pretty fast because it just makes me mad. But my favorite version is an agent will post, tell me the best way to generate my next listing, but I don't want to cold call, hold open houses, or talk to anyone.
Exactly.
Okay. This business might not be for you.
Okay. I got one though.
Yeah.
If they have a house,
Okay.
put it for sale. That's going to be the best way for you to generate a listing.
That's true. That's true. That can be the solution. So really the bottom line on this point is, do you feel like you're in control of your lead generation, or are you constantly wondering where your next deal or deals will come from? And that's another thing that agents will say is, somehow when I get starving for deals, something always magically comes together. I'll get a past client or I get a referral out of nowhere, but that's not predictable. It's not duplicatable. You can't tell me that's going to happen next month or next quarter. So get in front of your lead generation. That's another way to compete. When you generate more opportunity, you don't tolerate the lack of opportunity. You've got to really commit to that. That's a lot of what we work on in coaching, is getting you out of dabbling and into a system. I had a call with one of my coaching clients today, and right now between 40 and 50% of her business, and she is absolutely 100% on track to do more than 1 million GCI this year, are from open houses. Why? Because she's extremely systematic about them. She can tell me without a shadow of a doubt that this weekend she will produce 2 to 3 more really good, top quality, probably 2 listings and 1 buyer every time she does an open house. It's pretty awesome. It's because she doesn't dabble with them.
Yeah, she's using the open house system that's in Premier Coaching. So
Yes.
There it is. Pretty basic, right?
Yeah, and she's not the only one, by the way. It's just that's the call I just got off of.
Right. So follow a system that actually works. If you want to drive from one part of the country to another, you're going to put the coordinates in your GPS, and then you're going to do what it tells you to do. How many of you put your coordinates into the GPS and then decide not to listen and decide to go to the left or the right? That's what most people
You argue with your GPS.
Exactly. That's what most people remember. GPS like 10 years ago, where it really was dumb, Yeah. But nowadays, if that's what some of you still do, you guys are arguing with the path that's going to get you to where to your desired outcome, or you just don't even put in the coordinates in the first place. You're a dabbler, and that's okay. Life is full of dabblers, but I'll strongly encourage you, since we are absolutely at the beginning stages of what will be the biggest real estate boom in the history of at least the United States. I could talk for hours about all of the, I'll call it circumstantial, but at this point I'll say solid evidence that Julie and I have that Trump is going to be soon announcing a great, make housing great again. I hope he steals that name from us. We kind of stole it from him. So, but I'm really hoping that he does announce that. And I think it's going to be happening in, I'm optimistic about this, and I have confirmation bias, but it appears that it's going to be happening in the next 60 days. The release of Fannie and Freddie from conservatorship. You're going to see lots of new mortgage products. In my opinion, you're going to see a real plan that's designed around massive new construction boom that's going to be focused on first and midland price buyers. all these things, every single thing and every little corner I look around, it looks to me like they're gearing up. Once the tax bill is passed, which is happening next week, I think what we're going to now and next see is make housing great again. And the real estate industry is going to be having, it's going to 25 years of constant improvement, and not just in home sales, but the need for real estate agents too. Agent count's going to increase, profitability is going to increase. You guys think I'm a Pollyanna about this, and I probably am. Go back and listen to the podcast we did on this. Just go to Google or AI or whatever and do a search, make housing great again. And you'll see articles in past podcasts that Julie and I've created. Listen to those. And I'd love for you to come up with an explanation as to why one of our points is wrong. I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just saying I would love for someone to say, yeah, I want someone to basically, strawman or steelman. I always get those things confused. I want someone to help me make sure I'm not falling prey to my own confirmation bias, because I can find no evidence for anything other than this being the very start of a massive housing boom. Julie?
Yes, it's just a matter of how much you're going to take out of it yourself, right?
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. So point number 3, remember, we're talking about being competitive. Upgrade the look and feel of all of your marketing materials. Some of you, you're producing them for the first time, so it's easier for you to really get out of the gates with a great look and feel. Others of you have been using the same presentations for a decade. Do you have the same professional and authentic picture, logo, and colors on all of your assets, on all of your presentations, both online and off? Do you look like the same agent on every piece? Does it look professional enough that someone with a home to sell that's 2 or 3 times your average would still choose you? Always err on the side of nicer versus going low end. Would you agree with that, Tim, if you have to decide what your look and feel should be?
Definitely. I would. Well, but there's going to be exceptions, Julie. Like if you're selling in an area and you don't have an interest in selling in any other area, let's say you're blessed with this massive, neighborhood community of, Midland priced homes, and the Midland priced homes are, there's enough move up and move down. Maybe people can go to 4 to 6 and that sort of thing. And there's so much, sales velocity in this area. That's all you ever want to sell in.
Sure.
A picture with you and your golden retriever in more casual clothes would probably be a good idea.
Right. Well, we would say adjust accordingly. Look like your market.
Right. And versus if you show up in that neighborhood, it's a very amiable neighborhood. Everybody's got 3 kids. There's a lot of plastic kid stuff in the yards, all these things. Right. And
the kid junk we used to look for.
Right. Exactly. And then you show up and you're looking too formal and too, dressed to impress.
You don't be too stuffy in that environment. Right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Now, by the same token, if you're going up market and you show up in your torn jeans and your cowboy boots, maybe not so much, the right choice. So, if you're not sure, go to those open houses that other agents are having, look at how everybody's dressed, walk around, go on a walk in the neighborhood when people get home from work, and just get a feel for it. But in general, upgrade your look and feel. All right. That goes to point number 4, which is upgrade how you present yourself, not just your presentations, but you. Start with your wardrobe, your haircut, your glasses, your shoes, your watch, your nails, and or briefcase if you're bringing one. Maybe it's time to upgrade from your iPhone 5 and your AOL account too. Upgrade everything. Have fun with that. Look like the agent that you want to be or become, and you're more likely to present that way. We talked, I think it was on yesterday's podcast, when you dress the part, you're more likely to present with more confidence. So that goes to everything. If you've got your act together and you look and feel great, you're probably going to present at a higher level.
I'm going to take it to a level, Julie, that probably will make some people uncomfortable, because we've done this before and it made people uncomfortable when they told us in comments, but it's still worth doing. Okay. You remember the first time you and I talked about semi-glutite? It was like I think it was a while ago. You remember?
Probably when it was becoming more common. Yeah.
Semi-glutite is Ozempic. Semi-glutite's these, shots, and there's other forms of it where people can lose weight. And it was originally it was designed for people that were diabetics, I think. And evidently was a shortage because people were using it for weight loss, opposed to either using it off label. Okay. Well, obviously all that's changed now to the extent that the government's actually thinking about making semi-glutite. That's its actual peptide name. It's thinking about making it part of, I think it's Medicare or Medicaid, or I don't remember what, but something the government's going to pay for, because one of the greatest, predeterminants of future health is your current weight. I mean, it's kind of obvious, and nothing gets, nothing degrades the closer you get to your ideal weight. Like you lose nothing by losing weight is what I'm trying to say. So for some of you, and I get it, and I totally respect it, you are not in a place where it's easy for you to lose weight. Get on semaglutide, get on Ozempic, get on something that's going to help you to lose weight, because what's going to happen, and it's already happening in many of the, I'd say more affluent areas around the country, is that if you are overweight in some of these markets and you're trying to be competitive, remember, this is about competition, you're going to stick out. You're not going to look like one of them. And people subconsciously are going to say, well, that person, I like them and everything, but they're a little fluffy. I don't understand what's going on there. It just doesn't quite, match up with, they don't have my values. Otherwise they'd be taking better care of their bodies. Again, you guys are going to get, some of you are going to get ornery with me, and I'm asking you not to. I'm saying, for the sake of your health, and for the sake of essentially feeling more confident about yourself and comfortable in your environments, you do need to seriously consider hitting hard reset on the expectations you have for yourself with regards to your health. And fortunately now, what was one of the hardest things to do is now one of the easiest things to do, which is lose weight. Julie?
Well, that's true. And I think some of it can be subconscious, right? So it's kind of
Yep.
like, when I go to a boot camp class and there's a new instructor, and maybe they're not as in shape as an instructor maybe should be, or maybe they are, but they just seem kind of like disorganized and sloppy. I'm not like saying to myself, oh my gosh, they totally don't have their act together. But there's something subconscious where I'm like, nah, maybe not so much. Maybe I'm not going to go to that instructor's class next time, because it doesn't match what they're trying to do. So if you're trying to be a really professional agent that's competitive and wins 100% of the time because you're able to help more people at a higher level, but you don't look like that part, maybe you've got a great presentation, but yeah, that you're maybe a little bit fluffy, and
Well, you know what,
and it's also not good for you. So why not work on both things at the same time?
what you and I are circling is something that we need to do a standalone pod about, is that the reality of it is that you guys have to shift your mindset that when you go on appointments, when you're out in public, but especially when you go on listing or buyer appointments, you need to be thinking in terms of showtime. Julie has a great, it's part of Premier Coaching, your pre-listing prayer. She derived it from the Marines military, the Marines rifle prayer. But you remember it off the top of your head?
No, not off the top of my head, but we did. It's part of a podcast.
But what I'm trying to impress upon you guys is that you do need to start thinking of yourself honestly almost as an actor, or almost at, basically that's it. When you're sitting in front of a seller,
flip the switch, it's showtime. You need to be able to do that.
Right. And then on part of Premier Coaching is we give you some mental mindset steps to do. That's what I was just referring to with the prayer. Mental mindset steps to do prior to appointments, so that it puts you in that showtime state of mind. I mean, that's really the bottom line. And that right there, that one little bridge that I just gave you guys, for some of you, is going to be all it takes for you to unleash yourself and start tapping into what could be your full potential. Julie's writing it down. She liked that idea. I could tell.
I think, we do this a lot in Premier Coaching and in Elite Coaching. I do work with a lot of our one-on-one clients with this, but I think it would merit a podcast just to get their minds going and let them know what else we do in Premier Coaching, for example. And I just wrote down listing showtime. Maybe there's a lot to it, but maybe we'll do like the top 5 things to get yourself in the right energy and the right mindset and the right focus to walk up to that door and say, this is my next listing, instead of saying like, we'll see how it goes.
But your next point, Julie, is upgrade your coaching. I'm going to tell you guys something about Julie and I, what we think about, because I think this will help you maybe to think about how people think about you. So Julie and I are conscientious of the fact that you are subconsciously judging Julie and I. For example, Julie gave the example of the coach or the trainer for boot camp, and whether that person looks like they're practicing what they preach. Well, if you're thinking about hiring a coach, or in any way thinking about taking advice from anybody, and they themselves are not in a state of improvement, if they themselves are not working on various aspects of their life that you're interested in having those same aspects of your life improve as well, you need to be very considerate, or very conscientious, very picky, listening to people that that are giving you financial advice about, themselves, they have no money, or they themselves have never accumulated any money. Like personally, I don't think you should be listening to anybody who calls themselves a real estate coach who has not sold real estate at a very high level for a long period of time. And even then, like the 4 rules with choosing a real estate coach, which Julie, we should do this podcast again too, is number 1, have they ever had a real estate license? And if they've never had a real estate license, personally, if I were you, I would just not even give them the time of day. If they're calling themselves a coach, they're not a coach. Number two, did they sell 100 houses in one single year? If they did, that's good. That's not something that a lot of people ever accomplish. So having done it once is great. But let's be honest, they could have done it because they sold a subdivision or a condominium development or, something like that. So the third question is did they sell at least 100 homes per year for 5 years in a row? Now that's a unicorn in the real estate business because not very many people will do that. So if you come across somebody who's calling themselves a real estate coach, who has had a real estate license, who sold at least 100 homes for 5 years in a row, that somebody is probably somebody that's worth listening to. But here's the real problem. And I see this happening all the time, especially with these YouTube coaches, just because, and there's probably just two of them that I personally respect. One of them I've coached for a long time, and the other I know, and they both sold real estate at a high level. And all the others are kind of fakey. They haven't sold real estate at a high level. They're marketing and advertising gurus, those types of things. All right. So the fourth question when choosing a real estate coach or trainer is simply going to be, okay, I appreciate the fact that you've been successful selling real estate, but have you actually performed? That's not the right word, but I'll just stick with it. Performed at least 100,000 paid one-on-one coaching calls. Have you actually had at least 100,000 coaching calls, coaching sessions where the real estate agent was paying you for your advice? Now, why is that important? First of all, you deserve the best, and the best is going to have performed at that level. Second of all, and this is the really, really important part, I want you guys to get this really clear in your heads. There is the effort and the knowledge required to get good at selling real estate, even at a high level for a long period of time, because Julie and I did it, is nowhere near as hard as teaching other people to do the same thing. Learning how to be a really good coach, there are no shortcuts to it. It's more, and I don't know if in retrospect, if I'd known how actually hard it was, because Julie and I only operate out of integrity. And if we're not helping someone improve, and this is how we raise all of our coaches as well, then it's not a them problem, it's a you problem, and you suck as a coach and you need to get better. That's really our mindset and how we think about things. It's not the client's fault, it's your fault for not being able to communicate with the client in such a way that you're going to move them forward. So the skill set necessary to get good at selling real estate at a high level is so much easier, because in real estate, you're just having the same conversations over and over again. In real estate, it's the same presentation, it's the same pre-listing pack, it's the same every damn thing. Tweak this and tweak that, but for the most part, it's the same thing. When it comes to coaching agents at a high level, a real coach is so much work. It's a mixture of Dr. Phil being the ultimate sales coach, and a whole bunch of other things. And so we know that you choose us because we are some of the only real estate coaches in the entire world that have actually done all those things. Our biggest competitor, by sheer number of agents that he's had through his programs, has never sold real estate before. And no one even actually stops to ask him whether he sold real estate before. But if you have sold real estate, especially at a high level, and you listen to him talk, you can tell that I don't even want to use any bad words, but let's just say he's not somebody that if I were you, I would choose as a real estate coach, because he can only go so deep with what he's saying and what he's thinking. You guys like Julie and I, and we hear it in your feedback, I'm not just guessing, because we drill down and it's no fluff. Well, you need to look for folks in your life, coaches, trainers, gurus, whatever the hell you want to say, pastors, preachers, rabbis, okay, who have actually perfected and proven that they have the skill set, the mindset, the lifestyle, the character that you want to have yourself. And if the person that you're hiring to help you do a particular activity has not actually done it, then you're not serious about actually being great at that particular activity. You want to be Michael Phelps and you want to learn how to be the best Olympic swimmer ever. I promise you, you're hiring somebody that's not just a kick-ass Olympic swimmer himself, but has actually coached thousands of other swimmers to be equally as successful, and has a proven track record of not just personal success having done it, but personal success helping others having done the same thing. Do demand that level of professionalism. Otherwise, the problem is that without knowing it, you're going to listen to people that are maybe doing the best that they can, giving you the best coaching and advice that they can. Most of it's training. It's not even really coaching. And without you knowing it, you're operating on essentially 10% of the knowledge that you should have. And the next thing you know, you're saying dumb things like, well, My coach told me it's okay if I go on 10 listing appointments and I only take 5. That's because your coach sucks. That's the reason they say
Right.
stuff like that.
Because that is not okay.
No, it's not. It's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, it does make us mad because it dilutes what we do. Like if I want to learn how to speak Spanish and maybe I find somebody to teach me that online and they maybe got a good resume, but I talk to them and they're like, well, I don't really speak Spanish, but I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to teach to speak Spanish.
Julie, think about what you just said. We live in Puerto Rico. Everybody speaks Spanish. So just because they speak Spanish, does that mean they know how to teach Julie how to speak Spanish?
No.
No. They could speak Spanish, but they don't know how to teach Julie how to speak Spanish. So the witchcraft and alchemy and the time and the training that it takes to know how to teach Julie how to speak Spanish is not the same of knowing how to speak Spanish yourself. You guys get what we're saying? It should be obvious.
Exactly. Well, and it goes to versatility too, right? Because not every coaching client is the same. And regionally, you're not the same. I've had coaching clients that said, well, I live in California and I thought hiring a California-based coach is the right thing to do because logically, that kind of makes sense, right? Except that they were not going to follow what that person did because they hadn't sold real estate before and they were so stuck in California that they didn't have any versatility. They didn't have any ideas from anywhere else that had maybe worked really well in a different market that hadn't even been exposed to their market, which would make it work even 10 times as good. So it's that depth that you can do. And, we have clients that are prospecting based and marketing enhanced and marketing based and prospecting enhanced. That's okay. I've had coaching clients that come to us and say, you know what, I am never going to make a cold call as long as I live. Don't even ask. That's okay. There's other ways to create business. We've had clients that come to us and say, you know what, I just moved to a new town. I don't have a center of influence. I'm not going to get 10% out of a center of influence this year, like you talk about, because I don't have one. What do I do? That client is going to be completely different than somebody who's a 30-year broker veteran that has 2,000 people in their database, and they come to coaching just to get their life back. They want to not even increase their business. They want to do the same business, but have some time. It's that ability it is versatility. It's the ability to help different types of people in different types of situations in different types of the country and different price ranges,
I was on another podcast earlier today. It was my automotive podcast I do as a hobby called Full Throttle Talk, which is a lot of fun. If you guys are car nerds, listen to Full Throttle Talk. So I had 2 guests or 2 hosts on, well, there's 4 hosts, but 2 of them own very, I'd say well-respected Porsche restoration businesses and, all kinds of things to do with vintage cars. They don't take on new customers. They don't market and they don't advertise. One of them, Sunderworks, had only been in business for like 7 or 8 years. He's done 0 marketing, 0 advertising, and he has a long backlog of clients that want him to do restorations and work. Paul Kramer out in California, he knows restoration shops, Julie, that aren't taking on any new business ever. And the ones that are taking on new business, you have to wait 5 years before they'll even start on your car. Now, this is a car nerd thing and whatever, but the impression, what I'm hoping you understand is that they're not marketing and branding and advertising. They never did. Their marketing and branding and advertising was the product that they were producing, which was a fantastic restoration, but also a very happy customer. Ultimately, that's what the only marketing and branding and advertising that really matters are the results that you get for other people. What marketing and branding and advertising right now is essentially a narcissistic stew of bad information that's trying to fool you, lie to you into the belief that you can skip the part of having had to earn your brand or your reputation from having actually done the real work of real estate, helped a lot of people, and built your reputation a successful client at a time. They actually lie to you. I'm so tired of obfuscating words. It's lie, and they know it. They're trying to lie to you that enough branding, marketing, and advertising is going to fool the consumer into believing that you are successful when we already know statistically most consumers choose agents not for marketing, branding, and advertising. Like less than 5% of all consumer behavior choosing a real estate practitioner or any service provider comes from marketing, branding, and advertising. And yet those people don't tell you that statistic. They obfuscate the truth because they have never actually built a business based on real work of real estate. If you want to have the ultimate brand in your marketplace, if you want to have a business that's you have a 5-year waiting list. Wouldn't that be amazing? Then the only way for you to do that is start by doing the real work of real estate, do a fantastic job for your clients. And that's how you build a real business. And when you do it this way and you stop taking detours and stop wasting time on all these flights of fantasy of chasing this, shiny object or that, when you just follow one course until successful, you'll build a business faster than you possibly can imagine. Julie and I are living proof of that, because when we sold real estate, we started our first year in business, we sold over 100 homes. We sold 103 homes with our pendings. And how did we do it? The same exact way we teach you guys at Premier Coaching. And then we sold over 100 homes for between 100 and 200 homes per year for almost 10 years thereafter. We did not market and brand or advertise. We got business because we proactively lead generated to it. And over time, people knew who we were because they saw our sold signs. We didn't try to shortcut it. We didn't try to fool people into thinking we were successful when we weren't, because that's not how consumers are. Not stupid. They're going to look for the sold sign. They're going to ask, who do you use? Neighbor.
Trusted friend or advisor, right?
Exactly.
Or they're going to meet you at an open house and you're going to do a really great job with them. And then you're going to follow up. They met you face to face, voice to voice.
Right. So when you're choosing, to Julie's last point, who you're going to listen to, you need to trust your intuition. You need to say, that doesn't make sense, or that does make sense, and trust your intuition. Stop thinking that being successful is some like 14-sided Rubik's Cube. It's not. It's easy, especially in real estate, especially when you sign up for Premier Coaching, because there's a proven path to follow. Okay. So hopefully you guys got something out of today's show. Yes, thank you for keeping this the number one listen to daily podcast for real estate agents. It is always our pleasure and our honor to help you along your journey. Our little slogan is love your real estate journey, and that is certainly how we feel as well. If you're looking for a hit of motivation, attend the mastermind that we're doing this week. Just go to harrismastermind.com. The last ones we've done are running about 2 hours, but what we're doing on these masterminds is we're going over the 3 biggest challenges that agents are having in this business right now. And the first one, all of you will be glad to hear, is we're answering and decoding the how to consistently generate leads. So just go to harrismastermind.com. The link is down below. Choose your day and time of the mastermind. We're probably going to do 3 this week, 3 for the next 7 days, let's say. So choose when you want to attend, and we'll see you on the mastermind. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you on the show tomorrow. Hello, thank you for having watched this video. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
That's right. And don't forget to hit that like button, leave your comments and questions below, and we will get right back with you.
Thank you for watching this video. And remember to watch the next one. You're going to love that one.